Welcome to the Time is Ripe podcast. Time is Ripe is a digital journal podcast of Ripe Creatives. Ripe Creatives is a ministry that leverages the arts for the purpose of missions here in Philadelphia and around our region. Time is Ripe is hosted by Ripe Creatives founder Scott Smith and features various guests from within the Ripe community and our extended family. Each episode focuses on a specific experience that our team hosted here in the city or an outside event where someone from our team was booked to perform. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Y'all might have lost your way, but I'm still out here living my purpose. Know that I'm the best to do it when I'm living the service. Once you see light, you understand that sin is whack.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to The Time is Ripe. My name is Scott Smith, and I'm your host. Here on today's episode, we are going back in time to Saturday, March 22nd, 2025. We're talking about a thing called Encounter, Volume 3. It was in Whippany, New Jersey. I don't know where that is. It's really far away. To break this whole thing down, tell the story about the night, and dive into this whole conversation, I have one guest on today's episode. He's been on many, many episodes here on The Time is Ripe because he says yes to too many things. So we threw this out there. He said yes. We're here now recording. Mr. AVG Poetry, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up? Appreciate y'all. It feels like it's been a minute, but maybe not. I don't know.
I think it's been a minute. It's definitely been a while. We have not released an episode in quite some time. Not because there hasn't been things to release episodes about, because we've actually done a lot. But it's crazy. Just so hard to get people in the room these days. I think everybody's just like hitting this different pace of life.
Yeah.
With bookings being like more frequent and their artistry taking the forefront. So like the more you do, the less time you actually have to debrief it and talk about it and enjoy and savor it here on the podcast. So I don't know if like the podcast is surviving or dying right now, but we're just taking it one day at a time.
Different rhythms, you know, different seasons to it, cadences and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a different time period for me as well. Even for Jared. Shout out to Jared Talmot Moses. Not on today's episode, but he's in the room recording over there. What's up, Jerry?
Jared, thank you so much.
We appreciate you. Jared's getting married.
Hey!
Jared's getting married, which changes everything. I just had a baby not too long ago, so that changes everything. Everybody's just busy, you know?
Yeah.
But we're here. We made time for this.
Absolutely.
March 22nd, 2025, Encounter Volume 3. Now, this was not our event. This was one of those booking shenanigans where artists from our community got a chance to go be on this thing. AVG, you were one of them, correct?
Sir. Yes, sir.
And there was another artist in Ripe.
Mr. Craig Watson.
Mr. Craig Paul Watson.
Paul is his middle name.
Paul is his middle name.
Okay.
Did you know that? That's
No.
crazy. I didn't know that. I just found out from his voicemail because I gave him a call and said, "Hi, this is Mr. Craig Paul Watson." I was like, "Yo, that's crazy."
I wondered if his voicemail is as animated as he is in real
100%.
life. Okay.
100%. We should put Craig's number on this podcast and let everybody call him and leave voicemails.
Oh, man.
We're not going to do that. But shout out to Craig Watson.
Yeah.
One of the newest additions to the Ripe Artist community, hip-hop artist, adorable little dude. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys got to be on this one together. But this wasn't the first encounter. This is Volume 3, right?
Yeah.
So part of the backstory of this whole thing was Volumes 1 and 2. And Volume 2, I actually got to be a part of as an artist on the lineup.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really special event for me because my big bro, O'Dane Wilby, was on it from New York City. An old friend of mine, High Def Tone from Maryland, was on it. He was actually originally from Philly. And it was just like a hodgepodge conquest from New York City. Hadn't seen in years was on it.
Yeah.
And I like walked into a room for Encounter Volume 2. There was like 10 artists. I knew half of them.
Man.
And they were all old friends. And I didn't even realize any of them were on it because I never looked at the flyer, to be honest. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like the squad is here.
Yeah.
So it was such a great night back in October of 2024.
Okay.
And then basically from that, it was like, hey, I want to get more Ripe artists on the next one.
Yeah.
And
So
the
like
rest is history.
you knew 5 out of 10 artists.
Yes.
Who pulled everybody together then?
Jay.
Okay.
Yeah, Jay Avery.
Okay, yeah.
Joshua Toole. Shout out to this man. We wanted him to be on this podcast so bad.
Yeah.
But he lives 2 hours away because this event is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
All the way up in North Jersey. Yeah, Joshua Toole, aka Jay Avery, spoken word artist.
Yeah.
Known probably since like 2016, 2017.
Wow. Okay.
So going on like, what is that, 7 years? 7, 8 years?
8, 9.
8, 9 years?
8, 9,
I'm
yeah.
old, guys. But Jay Avery, great poet.
For sure.
Great spoken word artist. Loves Jesus a whole lot. And I met him at Voices in Power. As a believer, going to VIP, performing. That was a rare sight back in the day.
Yes.
At one point in Voices in Power's history, that wasn't like a thing that you saw all the time.
For sure.
And so when you met another believer that was in that space trying to do kind of the same thing,
That's good.
you just kind of connect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met him and another guy, I think it was Joe Will, at a Voices in Power, I don't know, 2016, 2017, years and years and years ago. It was in Philly, in North Philly. And yeah, great event. Remember connecting with them, talking to them after the show, exchanging contact information. And we've just kind of been in touch loosely ever since.
Yeah.
And then because they're in the North Jersey crowd, like they know a lot of my friends from New York, a lot of my friends from Connecticut.
And that's
so
like
just a
True
lot of-
Voices.
Yeah, he was not a part of True Voices, actually.
Oh.
He was post True Voices.
Okay.
So I met him just through the VIP circuit, but
Gotcha.
he's a great dude.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, when did I meet Jay? I remember meeting Jay at the Open Heart anniversary show.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The one that I was on.
Yes, exactly.
That's where you met him?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Very first time.
I thought maybe you guys had known each other from the Two Lines stuff or something else. So.
No.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Jay came to that. He's been coming to Open Heart. And that's kind of the weirdness and beauty of what is happening regionally for us right now. Is like Philly's got stuff going on. Then you got Trenton where stuff's going on. You got Jay in North Jersey. Then you got the New York crowd. Like there's like almost just this big line up the Northeast.
Absolutely.
And God's doing the same type of stuff with different people in different spaces.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of sharing of network stuff.
Definitely.
Right. So different people from New York want to perform in Philly. And then we send some people up to North Jersey and some North Jersey people go down to Trenton. And it's just like, it's kind of all roads lead to each other.
Definitely.
In this whole ecosystem.
I remember like vividly, I had met him, spoken to him for just a little bit. And I think I remember you like put your hand on my shoulder and was like, you need to put him on Encounter Volume 3. I think I remember that's how.
Oh, I did that?
Yeah.
My bad. So I'm at fault here,
For
guys.
sure. And then you left. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I love Jay Avery. Thank you
Yeah.
for trusting me, sir.
No stuff.
I wish he was here because then we could tease him a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, we also on the event. So I guess I was there to tap you, Craig Watson.
Yes.
How did he find out about Craig? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I think it was Instagram, maybe following Ripe Creatives.
Yeah.
Got connected to Craig, reached out. Yo, Craig's really great.
For sure.
Love what I see from him. Like, can I get him connected?
Mm-hmm.
And so Craig obviously said yes.
Yeah.
You guys jump in the car together. I ended up riding up with you guys, ran the Ripe booth. Just kind of there as like a support.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like wanted to be in the room to see what happens with Volume 3.
For sure.
When we got there, though, because I've actually been to that church, I think 3 times now.
Okay, yeah.
What did you feel as like a first timer getting up to Whippany? I don't even know what the name of this church is. Higher altitude or something.
Gosh. I know, I'm sorry, y'all, if I shouldn't be saying this, but the church was Abundant Life. And then it became Elevated Life, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Something like that.
Somewhere like
It was Abundant Life on the flyer,
Yeah.
but it was Elevated Life by the time you got there.
like within the week, brand change. Real interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. We don't know the backstory there.
Yeah.
And we're not going to pry
No.
or joke about it. Praise God.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think just in terms of getting there, like the space, the people, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Hospitality was amazing. The welcome persons came up, kind of like checked in to figure out like who we are. I made the mistake. I'm so sorry, y'all. I should have let y'all know that I like needed a table for like merch, but they were like, yeah, no problem. We'll like find another table, get you set up, rearrange stuff. So shout out to the hospitality team for Encounter. Stepped into the actual like worship space.
For sound checks and stuff,
for
right?
sound checks, yeah. Amazing space. And
It's beautiful.
it was towards the end of the night, if I'm not mistaken. I think from where I was standing at the end of the night, I saw the areas of the chairs separated by crosses. Am I right about that?
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, maybe they were just pillars, but
No,
they
you're
caught my
right.
attention. Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, they turned the pillars into crosses.
Yeah,
I
thought that
assume
was
intentionally because of the cross of Christ.
exactly
And maybe there's some other functional reason to like hang lights on or something.
for sure.
But it's definitely like it seemed like they just took the raw
Yeah.
thing and they wanted to create an element
Yes,
to point your eyes in a direction. It's
Yes.
super cool.
very very intentional space.
Yes, the
Yes.
lights, the staging,
Yeah.
the sound,
Yeah,
the aesthetic, the
yeah.
screens. Like they've invested a lot
absolutely.
into making that place like look and sound really great.
Absolutely,
And you could imagine how great church is there on Sunday.
definitely.
But from an artist perspective, like a lot of times church events are not what that is, you know? So it's like really, really cool to just be like, oh yeah, this is a church event, but this is like a different kind of church event
Yeah,
than you might usually experience as an artist. So
yeah.
all the encounters have been amazing. Shout out to Josh. I think they're like about a quarterly thing, maybe twice a year, 3 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to do it in a sustainable way for himself and his team.
Most stuff.
But it's clearly been fruitful
Absolutely.
so far.
I think like credit to him and his team. I feel like a couple months before reached out asking for materials, did like a virtual kind of like powwow with all the artists, kind of going through the run of show, more reminders about materials that they need and stuff like that. So it's very, very clear that they put a lot of planning into the experience. And I'm looking forward to them like leveling it up even further. But I felt like it was great.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
The lineup for the event is loaded. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
on the lineup. If I have one critique, Jay already knows what I'm gonna say, is that this joint is long, and it's long for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
But one of the main ones is because it's a lot of artists
Yeah.
on the lineup. And look, we get it because we do a lot of artists on A Good Soil.
Yeah.
We do a lot of artists on a Creatives Open Mic or Two Lines Open Mic, or our festival, right, that we're a part of and then help run. Like, we have events where we do a lot of artists, but the more artists you do, the more efficient you have to be with each set
Oh yeah.
to make sure you're transitioning like people on and off quickly,
Yes.
or the event can run super, super long.
Yes.
Now, the artists and worship teams are so great
Mhm.
that it almost doesn't matter at Encounter
Yeah.
how long the event is. But this one was like another 8 to 10. Do you remember any of the acts? Like, we're going to focus a lot on your set and Craig's set in particular.
for sure.
And I think we should talk about Jay's as well.
Yeah.
But just from like the first half of the event, other artists that you interacted with their stuff and you were just like, yo, big fan of these people?
Absolutely. First person to go up actually was Tiffany. She did a bunch of throwbacks. Like, I felt like I was back in my
Oh
childhood
my
home
gosh,
church.
she did, yeah.
She did
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
Yes. And I know my Redeemer lives. Just brought me back. Loved it.
It was so good.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, she was like a worship leader, I think maybe at that church or at a different church.
Oh, okay.
I don't know exactly her story there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really, it was such a warm way to start.
Definitely.
And I think it's also hard to start,
For sure.
room off.
For
but
sure.
to do something that's like a corporate worship song,
Yes.
it was like a really warm way
Yeah.
to get into the rest of the lineup. So shout out to Tiffany.
Great song choices.
Who was after Tiffany?
Matt Hammer, I believe.
Mateo,
Yeah.
pastor,
Pastor,
evangelist,
firefighter,
artist,
artist. I mean, all the things.
dirt bike rider. I think he rides dirt bikes and stuff.
Gotcha.
It's like a motocross
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I remember when we did the artist powwow right before the show. We done kind of like the activator, and then we prayed, and then I met him and the friends that were with him to support. He had, I think, one person on keys and then 2 others on photography, and I met them and they introduced themselves, just shared about their heart for ministry through the arts, and then they were like, yeah, we were about to just pray before we go out into the worship space, you want to pray with us. I was like, okay, super dope. So that was really cool to pray with them before everything got started.
Yeah, they were different.
Mm-hmm.
Matt he looks like he could be about 12 years old.
I wasn't gonna say 12.
He looks like he's 18.
You know.
But I think he's like, older than that.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty established, done a lot.
Yeah.
And making a big impact on the world. But he looks super young.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a pop star looking kid.
For sure.
But then he does almost like punk-ish, punk rap.
That's an interesting way to describe it, because even me, like, there's a particular song like playing in my head, and I wasn't super sure how to describe it. I think punk rap probably fits.
Yeah, he probably calls it something different.
Yeah.
But it is like, it reminds me, I don't even know how to, is it like Blink 182 and Toby Mac a little bit? Like, like a mashup of those or something? I don't know. It's different.
For sure.
It's very, very different. It stood out. It was very endearing. I think one of the cool things about that audience is there's such a warmth to it.
Yes.
Everybody's there to celebrate each other.
Yes.
Dive in. Even the MCs like doing the reprise and the callback of certain, hooks of songs and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, it was a fun set.
For sure.
It was a really, really fun set.
For sure.
What other folks in that first half do you remember?
First half, I gotta shout out, is it, Shanna or Shauna? She did the piece about laundry and like
Shea
motherhood, wifehood. Yeah, Shea Butter. Loved her pieces. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I gotta figure out how to stay tapped in with, where she goes when she performs and stuff. Definitely one of those poets to keep track of.
Yeah, and then Annie as well.
Annie Joe, the worshiper.
Man. Dude,
yes.
She's tough.
Ugh.
She's so tough. We actually listened to her on the way home.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
We broke out her Spotify and we listened to all of her records on the way home.
Yeah.
And she's just really like, she's spunky and funny. You're not going to believe this. I actually ran into her after that event.
Okay.
In Jersey at the game night that I performed at.
Oh,
in mid-April.
Yes.
Because we're recording this after that.
Yes.
But yeah, she was there.
Yeah.
So I actually saw her again. But super cool people.
Definitely.
Super talented artists.
Definitely.
Absolutely killed it. And then I think shortly after her set was when we got to Craig.
Yeah, exactly.
Craig Watson.
Went off. I mean, admittedly, I don't go to a whole lot of like rap shows and whatnot. But Craig has such an authentic high energy and like really invites you into his experience with his work, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I remember during his set, he did a piece of Canada Geese where he recorded a conversation and he was like interacting with himself.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't seen something like that, honestly. I mean, I don't know, Scott. Maybe you have. You're like,
I've seen it from him. I've seen it from him.
Okay.
I've seen Craig perform many, many times over the last 6 months now.
Yeah.
So I've seen him do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, just little elements.
Yeah.
The energy is on 1,000.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. I just wanted to share Jay's perspective on Craig.
Yeah.
Because I have it actually here. Craig's performance was incredible and blew people away.
Mm-hmm.
Stage presence was great. And he really resonated with everybody in the audience.
Yes.
His hunger for God was super tangible.
Yes.
And it definitely inspired me as well as others who attended.
Yes.
We already requested to have him back.
Yeah,
Craig killed it.
Yeah.
Craig was on 1,000 like he always is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he I don't know how you can't root for him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just so, and he's super humble. And he also takes chances. Like, he takes risks in his set.
Yeah.
I remember just like him having a moment of like ministry time where he was just talking about like praying for healing over people and just believing and having faith for God to heal.
Exactly.
If you're going through this, that, and the third.
Exactly.
And sharing a testimony of like where the prayer wasn't answered right away. But months later, God did answer that prayer. And now the testimony is that this person has been restored.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, look at you, little minister, you know?
Definitely.
And it's a credit to him. It's a credit to his desire to know the Lord this intimately, this fast.
Most stuff.
But also credit to his church. Shout out to Glory Church, Pastor Minister,
Yeah.
Pastor Mike, his mentor, Jamil, who's a part of our community. A lot of people pouring into him, and he's receiving all of it.
Definitely.
And so his growth is just like exponential, not just as an artist, as a human.
Yes.
Like as a son of God, as a man of God.
Yes.
I'm just so impressed with Craig and very, very excited for what his future holds.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, y'all, like, if you ever get a chance to, like, tap in with his work or on Instagram, like, he has a really, really special testimony. I would invite y'all to kind of go figure out what that is. I'm not going to tell his story for him, but it's amazing what God has done.
Yeah. Love you, Craig. After Craig, shortly thereafter was you. Here's what I remember about your set. Because here's the problem with trying to remember your set that night for me.
Yeah.
I've heard you perform 78,000 times now. So APG, I couldn't tell you which one was this, which one was that.
Yeah.
You're an amazing poet every time.
Yeah.
There's some sets I'm sure you could do it a little bit better on one piece, or you messed up something here or there.
Yeah.
But you are 10 out of 10 every time. And all I remember vividly about your set was getting smacked in the back of the head by my friends Allie and Kendi, who were sitting behind me the entire time, saying, "Who is this man? Where did you find him?"
Oh, man.
Because you were murdering this room with the poetry.
Man.
And yeah, so I know you killed it,
Yeah.
but what pieces did you do? What poems was it? All that kind of stuff.
I started with Mama Made It because there was Haitians in the room. I was like, I gotta, shout out to my Haitian people. I don't even think.
You heard us.
Yeah,
You heard somebody yell from the back, and you were like, "I got this."
exactly. Yeah. So I wasn't even gonna start with Mama Made It, but I heard somebody. I was like, all right, we got to do this for the people. So yeah, Mama Made It. We went into Poured Out, took people into Garden, and then finished up with Rough.
Yes,
Was the set.
it was phenomenal, dude.
Yeah.
It's always phenomenal. Every time you
Yeah.
perform any of your catalog, it is phenomenal. It is a whole different level when you get multiples of your pieces back to back,
Yeah.
because you can curate a story or a message.
Yes.
We've been processing so much with Graham
Yeah.
over the past, couple months about this storytelling set that he's on as a singer-songwriter and write. And I feel very similarly about the way you're able to craft sets as a poet.
For sure.
I think you and Jayla both have a phenomenal gift set at being able to walk a story piece by piece.
Yeah.
And you could have 90% of the same pieces, but do them in a different order and they tell a different story.
That's it.
And, I think that's just kind of the beauty of it. So it's always unique, even though hearing you all the time.
Yeah.
I'm super appreciative to be a watcher of the AVG greatness. But I'm telling you, I got smacked every poem multiple times during the poem by Kendi and Allie.
Man.
Just like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
Like you do a line and I turn around and look at them and they're just like, what the heck? And we were having a blast up there in the front, listening to you together. And yeah, it's like, it's not to sun you, AVG, because you're not like you're my baby brother in ways.
Yeah.
But I'm genuinely so proud of you, like in who you are as a poet, and just how far you've taken this thing.
Thank you.
Like it's a joy to watch you win.
Absolutely.
In rooms that you step into as an artist, and just like take it over.
Yeah.
And like it's clear, this is a different level of artistry right here. So thank you.
I will say it's been dope to like have your partnership and brotherhood. I mean, I probably one of the first times I was on like Time is Ripe, I shared I kind of grown up in a space where I was like one of a few artists who was really trying to do it for ministry, right? And so that just, I don't know, if you're out there and you're an artist like trying to do it, feeling like you're the only one trying to do it, it can be really lonely. And then to, October 22, find 2 lines and then find you and Greg and Jeff at the time. It was like a kind of breakthrough moment for me to like find people who really wanted to like use their creativity for the gospel. So yeah, it's crazy to say it's been like, it's going to be almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Of
this October.
Yeah.
Since we first met.
It's been a crazy journey.
Hundreds of events later. Oh my gosh. When we tell you that we could do an episode every single week on this podcast, it is true.
Yeah.
Because the week that we're recording this podcast, I won't say the dates, we have 7 or 8 events in 5 days. Right? So that is the nature of the Ripe community and how much stuff we have going on.
Yeah.
And so it is very hard to like narrow down to find episodes to do stuff.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, AVG. It's been a heck of a journey, man, and I'm thankful to be on it with you and the rest of these crazy hooligans that we do ministry with. Before we get to the last artist I know we want to shout out, we still got to shout out a couple, but I want to just share Josh's words because Josh really wanted to be here today.
Yeah.
But he just said, AVG, what can I say? Thought-provoking poetry that kept all of us wanting even more. Performance felt so raw, totally relatable. A favorite from his set was definitely the spoken word about his mama.
Heavy.
I think it was called Mama Made It.
Yeah.
So even remember that.
Yeah.
But Jay Avery, loved your set. And I was teasing him while you were performing. So this is so funny to me. And I was saying, I can't believe you want to go after this, man.
Oh, man.
Right? I was like, Jay, I can't believe you want to follow AVG. And wouldn't you know, AVG, Jay Avery gets on stage for his set. And the production elements alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He had the videos with the lyrics and the lights.
Yes.
Like all black to white lights to red lights to like, it was a literal like musical show of poetry.
That's it.
It was one of the most dynamic spoken word performances I've ever seen. I was like, oh, I get why he didn't want to go second.
No, I will say, Jay, like, it's extremely clear that you put a lot of thought and effort and energy into developing. There's one of the things, right? Like, we have a lot of poets who put effort into the writing, they put effort into the performance, but there aren't a whole lot that put, whether they have the opportunity or not, put a whole lot into like the production that goes with the writing, the performance, right? So for you to have lights and you've got like snippets of your piece kind of showing on the screen for people as well. I mean, just excellent, man. Excellent.
It was so good. It was so good. Like, it captivated the room in a way that I've rarely seen spoken word be able to do. And I was like, yo, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of this.
For sure.
Like I'm not actually jealous, but I'm saying like, I was like, man, I wish I had that type of stuff behind me whenever I performed in some space, because it was just so well done.
Yes.
And the timing of it too. Like, one thing I've always wrestled with the lyrics for a poem is if it's lagging behind at all, it's going to be weird for the audience, because it's not like reading lyrics of a song that's being sung
for sure
at a very like basic 4/4 tempo or something, right?
Exactly.
Like, a poem is going to have very, very fast parts, very slow parts.
For sure.
And you're trying to follow that lyrically.
Yes.
But it was, he had the music behind him too.
And he told me that he made that track.
Oh, he produced it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Oh.
It was produced to fit the poem.
That's
right?
it. That's it.
But it was just, it was like the timing of it, everything, the pacing of it, the delivery of it. I mean, Jay's very passionate. He's a passionate performer.
Yes.
Like, you're never going to question of like, is his heart in this?
Yeah.
Does he want to get this message across to this room? The dynamics of his volume and his delivery and the way he bends a word, right?
Yeah.
We tease him a lot because it's very reminiscent of another poet that we love, who lives down in Atlanta, who's originally from the West Coast. Shout out to Ezekiel. But Jay,
I didn't know if you were going to just shout his name or just leave little hints for people.
Yeah, shout out to Ezekiel. Ezekiel is part of the P4CM, Poets in Autumn tour, everything. Just one of, if not the best Christian poet to ever walk the planet, anywhere. I think it would be very hard to find somebody and say this person is objectively better than Ezekiel was at the peak of his powers, and I'm sure he's still just as good as he's always been right now.
I mean, Ezekiel actually changed the way I write poetry. Like 18, I saw him do his poem Almost. I was like, oh, you can do poetry like that? And I just changed.
Yep. Yeah,
just amazing.
That's a great piece.
Yeah,
He got a lot of great pieces.
yeah. But Jay.
But yeah, Jay is, he Ezekiel Jr. a little bit. And we say that in love because if you're going to be compared to somebody like that, be compared to the best to probably ever do it.
That's it.
And I do think it is Jay's voice. I think it's Jay's delivery.
Mm-hmm.
He just happens to have some of the same DNA in there
Most stuff.
that Ezekiel does as an artist. So
Yeah.
Jay killed it, man. I was so impressed with that whole set.
Yes.
And I did find out even some of the production elements were not planned.
Oh.
They were done on the fly.
Wow.
And were like the changing of the lights and stuff that wasn't a part of the plan. That like happened because the guy knew what was coming in the poem. And like it was super impressive.
That's excellent. Shout out to AVL because that's awesome.
Yeah, it was super tough. The other artist I wanted to briefly shout out, Keelanda.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Keelanda,
Absolutely.
my gosh.
Yeah.
I've known Keelanda. We met, oh my gosh, I don't even know where we met. I think we met at the Ology in New York City years ago.
Yeah.
Right after she had been on, like she was on the Breakfast Club because she was like praying for some artists in New York City.
Yeah,
just kept running into like all these celebrity hip hop artists, and she started like a ministry called Pray for Hip Hop.
Yeah.
And got to kind of go in the air of the Breakfast Club and pray for Charlemagne and the rest of that team there, and pray for hip hop overall and all this kind of stuff. She's got just a huge heart for ministry.
Yeah.
But she can rap.
Oh, for sure.
Like she's a real rapper. Like in a different time frame, she could have been whoever the biggest Christian hip hop female rapper is right now. Is it Wande? Like she could have been Wande if the cards had just fallen a little bit differently in terms of her opportunities or ass or reach.
Yeah.
Just a different time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is just as talented as any rapper
For sure.
anywhere. Female, male, doesn't matter.
For sure.
Keelana is tough.
For sure.
She got great songs, amazing stage presence, and the ministry is bar none.
Oh, yeah.
Like the way she communicates and articulates gospel truth between her tracks, like she's a real pastor.
Yeah.
Like on stage. Like
Absolutely.
she's preaching.
Most stuff. The way that she like communicated, hey, here's what y'all are about to hear. It's very, very clear that the gospel is the foundation of like what she writes and how she writes it, right? And I think particularly for today's generation of youth, like they need that. The way that preaching has been done in like the previous generation, I think, for reasons of attention span and like all of these other elements, youth are maybe not as tapped into the way preaching is done at a lot of churches. But they get to experience rap music that is gospel filled, or like singer-songwriters, like Graham and like other people we have on the team. It's like a missed opportunity not to expose young people to that sort of stuff, So just got to shout out Keelanda for reaching young people in a way that works for them,
Yeah. She's a real deal.
Yeah.
And I've always known that from a ministry standpoint.
Yeah.
And I've always known she's a great artist, but it was so fun to watch her do like a legitimate full-length set.
Definitely.
And really be in her element.
Yeah.
And just, I was like, oh yeah, she really does this.
Most
like she is the real deal.
Most stuff.
And met her mom. Her mom was there.
Yeah.
That was super adorable. Got to talk to Mama Keelanda for a little while. And yeah, just like I'm such a fan of who she is as a person.
Definitely.
And what she's about, in terms of the ministry aspect. Like, I actually think there's probably very few people I've met that I'm like more one-to-one in alignment with around arts, music, and ministry.
Yes.
As Keelanda.
Yes.
Just very much affirm everything I see in her, and a big fan. And there's space for everybody doing every different style of music. And, do we do more music that reaches more the mainstream and has a little bit of Jesus? Do we do more of this stuff that's more focused on Jesus? Like, I get that there's room for everybody. But just, Keelanda is very good at what she does.
Definitely.
And if you need her, go get her. Go hit her up, follow her, connect with her, because she's a beast.
Absolutely.
What a show. I know Urgency was at the end of worship set.
Yeah.
By the time we got to that, it was longer than this podcast episode already because it was a late night.
Yeah.
But the worship team did a great job, more ministry time, all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
What do you remember just from the like post-game hangs, connection, prayer to ministry, like just connection points?
Yeah.
Like from your end, what was like the value of Encounter Philly? We always ask that question on this podcast, like what was the fruit?
For sure.
So for you, like what was the fruit of Encounter?
Oof. One, I think reconnecting with almost all of the artists that were on the lineup and just having a more personal conversation with them. I remember definitely connecting with Jay after, him just telling me his background when it comes to poetry, his introduction to Ezekiel and like how that influenced his work. Had a conversation with Joe Will?
Joe Will.
Yeah, we had a real heart to heart around. He'd asked me like where. I think the question was like where does my work come from, or like how do I stay locked in my spiritual relationship as I write? And I was just like 100%. Like I'm up and down, right? Like the pieces that y'all heard came from moments where I probably felt the most connected to Jesus. And some of that stuff just got like downloaded. And so Joe, I hope you appreciated like the honesty around that. And I think for anybody listening, your relationship is going to have like valleys and hills and valleys to it. It really is about like the consistency of the relationship. And just allowing God to like use your craft in whatever season that you're in. There probably have been pieces that were written in valleys, and that's what God needed me to hear. So it's almost like a sermon to myself, right? I definitely connected with Ali and Kendi, and they kind of like roughhoused me a little bit, like, man, what's going on? Where did all that come from? And so that was nice to just connect with them in that way. And then Annie Joe as well, kind of let me know that she was Haitian as well. So we had like that little connection moment. So it was great to connect with a bunch of people in different ways. Yeah. Definitely had to like, affirm and encourage and just love on Craig. Just had amazing.
Yeah, the post show is the best thing to ever happen
absolutely.
On planet Earth.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think the crux of it is nobody really was trying to leave.
Yeah.
I left the space 2 or 3 times, I think, to like break down and stuff like that, and people were just like still talking and connecting and stuff like that. So
yeah, we didn't leave till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And Craig was praying for everybody because that's what Craig does.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, Craig was praying over everybody. Remember that? This man was praying. He prayed over, if I probably walked out to like break down the booth and stuff 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I was in conversations with Jay and blah, blah, blah. And like, then with Kendi and Ali. And I'm not kidding. Every time I turn around, Craig was praying for a different person. I was like, Craig, what are you doing?
Go ahead, minister.
I was like, go ahead, man. Craig out here just doing ministry.
Oh, man.
That was actually one of the things that Jay brought up.
Yeah.
On his thing, not just about Craig in general,
yes,
but about the show. And he said, overall, I just want to say, Ripe Creatives, your team left a mark on Encounter and set the bar really, really high. Certainly, they are the real deal, and you can tell the work they do is more than just art.
Yeah,
it's also personal ministry.
Yeah.
Looking forward to continuing to connect with you guys and having more back in the future.
Man.
And I think in general, like that is the thing that we've always said that we want to be marked by as a ministry, that we want to be different than your average run-of-the-mill artist that's getting booked for X, Y, or Z. When we get opportunities, we want to carry ourselves in a Kilanda kind of way.
Most def.
Right?
Most def.
Regardless of the content, the ministry, who you are off stage, needs to be the real deal.
Yeah.
And that's something we've stressed, we've harped on, we've communicated as a core value, right? Yeah. But it's fun to get it affirmed.
Oh, yeah.
Right? By the people that you send folks to or you go with to see something happen, to be like, hey, that thing you guys say you're about, you actually are.
Definitely.
And I'm super encouraged to hear that from Jay. And I'll just say from a takeaway standpoint from my end,
For sure.
this is my heartbeat at this stage of my life and leadership is, can we build 10 Encounter Volume 3 level relationships as a ministry that folks from our community always have opportunities coming up that they can go do.
That's good.
Right? Like, that is just so much better than producing 50 events a year as a ministry.
Yeah.
Right? Is that, no, there's 10 people producing 5.
Yeah.
And they happen to be all over the region.
Exactly.
And they trust Ripe enough, top down, leadership, model, perspective, character, gift set, talent level. They trust all of these things enough to be like, okay, we have 6 artists. One of them is going to be a Ripe artist.
That's good.
We have 10 artists. 3 of them are going to be Ripe artists.
Yeah.
Right? That we are just sought after in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, Encounter Volume 3 as a continuation of Encounter Volume 2, I was like, oh yeah.
For sure.
Jay is going to call us every time he does an encounter.
Most stuff.
And 2 more people from Ripe are going to get invited.
Yeah.
Or 1 more person from Ripe is going to get invited. Every time.
Yeah.
Because we've proven our worth in this sense.
Definitely.
And I'm just like, man, that's a good thing for us to build relationships with people like Jay.
That's good. And I would say part of the value I think that Ripe brings in, and Jay mentioned it, the personal ministry piece. I think, like, when you mentioned like who we are off the poem, off the song, right? Like, it's great to perform well and do an awesome job and like wow people on stage. But I think part of what we want to do is like be available to people after the show, or like once we get off stage, to really minister to people there on that one-on-one tip. And, you know, Craig going to pray with every single person is like one aspect of that. People, I think, having mentioned this, you know, on other episodes, like being able to connect with this one person and have a really, how can I say, like Holy Spirit motivated moment where like they were just speaking life into a person, or like listening to them share about themselves, and that's just a stranger talking to you, right? But there's something about what you offered and your authenticity, or maybe you weren't even on the set and somebody comes to talk to you, right? Like the Holy Spirit moving in that way. I think that's the other value add when you're when you're putting like a Ripe artist on your set, or like inviting them into your space. You're also getting not just the artistry, but the personal ministry as well. And I think that's what I've loved about being in this space, is like everybody is missional in that way. You know, some of us have, maybe it's more second nature for some than others, but we're all kind of like leaning in that direction as a whole.
Yep.
For sure.
That's real. Yeah, and I think what's really fun is getting to like sow seeds of what we carry into others.
Yes.
Right? So I don't think necessarily Keelonda needed us to know what to do, because I think she's a real deal in that.
Yeah.
But I just wonder, like, some of the other artists on the lineup maybe see the way Craig interacted with people, or saw the way you interacted with people, or saw the intentionality around set design.
Yeah.
And you're sowing a gift
Yes.
into somebody's heart that's like, oh, I'm changing my perspective. Like Jay says, put that in us about production for poetry, right?
Yes.
And you're like, dang, how do we do this?
Yeah.
We got to figure this out, because it's a different level.
Exactly.
There's a reason why Poets in Autumn did it this way,
For sure.
right? With the LED walls and the lights and the screens and the visuals, because it is that much more effective than just somebody standing on a stage with a microphone.
That's it.
There's a different element here.
Yeah.
And I think it's been affirmed by other people in our lives as well that we talk to. So
Yeah.
those things, those gifts that you receive in terms of wisdom or perspective, and then the gifts that you give. And honestly, like Jay and I tease him a lot. Like, I treat him like a little brother. He probably hates me for it, but I really do love this kid. Like, I genuinely love this young man. I have, honestly, probably for the better part of the last 5-6 years since we reconnected. Just an incredibly like humble servant's heart.
Yes.
He was a part of a pretty big spoken word ministry thing. Went through some challenges with that.
Yeah.
Wasn't super easy or Like he could have thrown in the towel on this whole thing and didn't. And like came back and was like, I'm going to keep the main thing, and I'm going to do things a different way than what I experienced.
Yes.
And he's doing that.
Yes.
And he's living into that. And I'll just say, man, like, Jay, you don't have to do this. Joe, you don't have to do this. Ali, you don't have to do this. Kendi, you don't have to do this. And, you know, all the other poets that I've seen up there.
Yes.
You don't have to do this, but you could if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, you could create the equivalent of Ripe Poetry up there for yourselves
Facts.
in North Jersey tomorrow.
Facts.
And travel around together and be that mutual accountability and community for one another.
Yes.
The way that me and AVG and Greg and Jalen Sergine have experienced that, and Jake now
For sure.
have experienced that in community.
For sure.
You have the ability, like you have the skill set, the talent, the poetry to go do that right now.
Yeah.
So that felt like, oh, this is probably why I'm here, is to show that like you can if you want.
Exactly.
And if you need any advice, I'm here.
Exactly.
And I'll give away everything I got.
Yeah.
You want to find out what you shouldn't do, why you shouldn't do it,
Yeah.
what you should do, why you should do it.
Yeah.
I'll give it all away.
For sure.
You know, so I feel like that's the beauty of this, is that it's not just Ripe Creatives. It's not just us in Philly. God is doing stuff regionally, nationally, internationally, through the arts at a whole different clip than he was maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Facts.
And we get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we're just one little tiny, tiny, tiny piece of this puzzle
Yeah.
of what God's doing in the earth. So I love those reminders, being in somebody else's space, to just be like, man, that God is so much bigger
Absolutely.
than just Ripe Creatives.
Absolutely.
And whatever we can do to be a blessing, let's do that. But it's about spurring other people on and reproducing the calling in others.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will say, being part of Ripe for like 2-3 years now, that's honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to be Scott in my own spaces in a way. Just trying to figure out, like, especially you know, in my particular denomination, you know, music and singing and choirs and stuff, you know, we love that. But there are some other creative arts that don't get as much shine. And I've just, I think, been motivated and spurred by like being in Ripe to see our space become more affirming and inviting of other creative expressions. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe y'all will hear something about that in the future. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just exposure, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're only doing poetry today because at some point somebody did it in front of us.
That's it.
And we fell in love with it.
That's it.
And we get to be that for other people, or for denominations or churches or ministries, or even in, you know, secular spaces, you know, going to the obscure places and performing and stuff. And being a light to people and giving them a taste of something that maybe they otherwise wouldn't get.
That's
so
good.
yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, y'all. We're very grateful that we get to do this. We only get to do this stuff because of the people who give and partner with our ministry, Ripe Creatives. So thank you. If you're here, you're a monthly partner, you're an annual partner with us, you know, you're somebody who gives resources. Part of what you're giving to is stories like this.
Exactly.
You know, your resource is allowing us to go make a trip to North Jersey, or to buy the food, you know, on the way there, or on the way home at 3 a.m. Oh, man. You know, like you're honestly supporting us doing this work. Yeah. You don't even know the fruit. We don't even know the fruit a lot of times. We try our best on this podcast to share about what God's up to.
Yes.
And through our newsletters and things like that, and on Facebook groups, you know, private groups and stuff, like try to make as much known as possible of what God is doing. But it's impossible for us to really share it all because we don't even know. Yeah. Like, we are so much just sowers of seeds in environments, and we never know if that's going to produce this kind of fruit or not. Exactly. But we just do our best and hope that it lands on good soil. So thank you for sowing into us so that we can sow the gospel and the message of who Jesus is and what he's done for us into people's lives through the arts and through our gifts. And if you're here and you don't currently partner with us, you stumbled into this thing because you think the word ripe is cool or something, or you know Jay Avery and you wanted to hear an episode about Encounter, we just highly encourage you, jump on our website, ripecreatives.com, look us up, read our mission, vision, and values, see who's on our team, see what events we have coming up. but we would strongly ask if you would consider becoming a monthly partner with what we do. If the listeners of this podcast become monthly partners that aren't currently, like, we can do more of this stuff.
Yes.
We can fund the things that we currently do better. And so just want to invite you to consider partnering with us, because it goes a long way and helps us do everything that we do. So, yeah, appreciate y'all. ABG, thank you. Shout out to Craig. He was not here. We honor you, Craig. And shout out to that guy over there, Mr. Top Mom Moses, Jarrett, for doing all the engineering of this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Sorry we're skipping so many different other events that we could have done episodes about. We're doing the ones we can, and hopefully we'll get the next one out to you in a few weeks. Until next time, y'all, stay right.
That's it. Yeah, I'm done with the games. I thought this was
You can learn more about Ripe Creatives and support our ministry by visiting our website, ripecreatives.com. To never miss a future episode, you can join our community text line by texting Time is Ripe to 215-273-3540. Time is Ripe is produced, recorded, edited, and released by Top Mop Productions. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
living my purpose. Know that I'm the best to do it when I'm living the service. Once you see light, you understand that sin is whack. Be aware, wolves plotting on the next attack. Armor of God, give me the word. I'm always strapped. My brother's able, never question if I got his back.